There is a very hard truth to accept. And if you do not accept it, you will continue to fail at discipline for many more years. You do not lack willpower. You are talking to yourself the wrong way. Many people believe discipline is a matter of action. Waking up earlier, working harder, forcing yourself to be stronger. And every time they fail, they conclude that they are weak, lazy, or lacking character. But very few people stop to ask a different question. Before you did not act, what did you say to yourself in your mind? Before you gave up, a silent internal dialogue had already taken place. It might have been very fast. It might have lasted only a few seconds, but it was always there. One voice saying, "You are too tired today." Another voice saying, "Skipping once is fine." A reasonable voice, sounding very convincing. And if you listen carefully, you will realize the problem is not in the action. It is in the power of that voice. Discipline does not collapse at the gym. It collapses in the mind, long before you decide not to go. There was a man named Ethan. He used to believe he was an undisciplined person. He read a lot, watched a lot of motivational content, made very detailed plans. But when it came time to act, he procrastinated. And every time that happened, he criticized himself more harshly. Until one day, he realized something very different. Every time he failed, the voice in his head was never neutral. It was full of doubt, full of criticism, and full of justification. Ethan did not lack determination. He lacked a stable mental operating system. The human mind is not designed to love discipline. It is designed to avoid discomfort. And if you do not understand this, you will keep placing yourself in an unfair battle. Every time you try to force action using temporary emotion, you are asking your brain to go against its own instinct. And the brain is very good at resisting. It resists with reasons, very reasonable, very persuasive. It tells you that you need rest to recover. It tells you that today is not the right time. It tells you that you will do better tomorrow. And if you believe discipline is a moral issue, you will lose right here. Because the brain does not argue with morality, it argues with comfort. This is where many people misunderstand. They think that to be disciplined, they need a stronger version of themselves. But the truth is, you do not need to be stronger. You need to be clearer. Clearer in how you talk to yourself. Clearer about who makes the decision and when that decision is made. Discipline is not born in the moment you act. It is born in the moment you decide, before emotion interferes. There is a very direct statement. If you allow emotions to participate in decision-making, you will pay the price with consistency. Emotions change every day, but your life should not. Many people say they lose discipline when they are tired, but the truth is, they lost discipline earlier, from the moment they allowed negotiation to begin in their mind. From the moment they asked, "Should I do this?" instead of asking, "Is it time yet?" The first question opens the door to emotion. The second one closes it. This is where discipline begins in the mind. At the point where you do not allow negotiation to take place. Not because you are cruel to yourself, but because you understand that negotiation at this moment always leans toward ease. There is a very clear paradox. The most disciplined people are not those who hate themselves. They are those who do not allow themselves to be led by temporary emotions. They do not insult themselves when they are tired. They simply do not give tiredness the right to decide. When you understand this, the way you see discipline changes completely. It is no longer about forcing yourself. It becomes a mental boundary, a very clear boundary between decision and emotion. The decision is made when you are clear-headed. Emotion is allowed to exist, but it is not allowed to drive. In the next part, I will go deeper into the specific psychological mechanism inside the brain that causes you to break discipline, even when you are serious about it. And more importantly, how you can change that internal dialogue so discipline no longer feels like a daily battle. There is a very subtle mechanism operating inside you every time discipline begins to weaken. It is not loud. It does not explode. It whispers. And precisely because it whispers, you rarely realize when you have already been persuaded. The mechanism works like this. When you stand in front of a task that needs to be done, the brain immediately scans for possible discomfort, tiredness, boredom, fear of making mistakes, pressure, uncertainty. And to protect you from those feelings, it offers an alternative suggestion. Delay. Do it later. Take a short break. This suggestion does not appear as laziness, it appears as reason. This is why you can be very intelligent, very understanding, very goal-oriented, and still break discipline. Because you do not lose through weakness, you lose through short-term logic, a logic that only sees immediate comfort, not long-term cost. There was a man named Noah who described this feeling very accurately. He said that every time he was about to start, a meeting appeared in his head. Every voice had a reason, and the voice that wanted rest always spoke the best, because it represented safety. If you do not recognize that meeting, you will believe you are choosing freely, but in reality, you have already been led. The key point is this. The brain does not distinguish between dangerous discomfort and necessary discomfort. It only knows how to avoid. And if you do not retrain it, you will continue to avoid the very things that are the key to moving forward. Many people try to solve this problem by scolding themselves. They believe that if they are strict enough, they will change. But self-criticism does not create discipline. It only creates exhaustion. And exhaustion makes the avoidance voice even stronger. Changing discipline begins with changing how you respond to that voice. Do not argue. Do not try to win. Simply do not give it decision-making power. There is a very simple but extremely effective technique. When the voice in your head starts negotiating, you do not respond to the content. You only change the question. From, "Should I do this?" to "Is it time yet?" This question does not care how you feel. It only checks one objective thing: timing. When you do this enough times, the brain learns something new. That negotiation no longer works. And when negotiation no longer works, it gradually disappears. Not because you are stronger, but because you stop feeding it energy. There was a man named Victor who applied this method to training. He did not ask himself whether he wanted to train. He only asked whether it was time to train. If the answer was yes, he put on his shoes. That was it. No determination, no motivation. And after putting on his shoes enough times, training was no longer a matter of willpower. This is how discipline begins in the mind. Not by forcing yourself, but by closing the right door. The door of negotiation. One more very important point. You need to distinguish between emotion and command. Emotion is only a signal. It indicates that something is difficult, but it is not an order to stop. When you understand this, you no longer panic when you feel bored or tired. You simply acknowledge it, then continue. There is a very direct statement. You do not need to feel ready to start. You need to start in order to feel ready. Emotion follows action, not the other way around. In the next part, I will help you build discipline through very concrete steps, starting from inside your mind and spreading into daily behavior. No need to change your life overnight. Only change how you make decisions in small moments. To make discipline truly take root, you need to stop seeing it as a behavior and start seeing it as a mental structure. A structure that is repeated enough times until it becomes the default. Step 1. Separate yourself from immediate emotion. The first step in building that structure is separating yourself from immediate emotion. Not by denying emotion, but by placing it in the correct position. Emotion is weather. Decision is schedule. You do not cancel an entire trip just because the sky is cloudy. You simply bring a raincoat. Many people fail with discipline because they wait until their mind feels calm. But the mind is rarely calm at the exact moment you need to do something difficult. If you wait for the ideal state, you are handing control to something unstable. Discipline does not require a calm mind, it requires a clear mind. Clarity here means being clear about what was decided in advance, before tiredness, before boredom, before doubt appears. There was a man named Leo who realized that every time he broke discipline, it was not because he did not want a better life. It was because he made decisions too late. He allowed decisions to happen at the moment emotions were strongest. And that was when he always lost. Leo changed by doing this. Every evening, while his mind was still relatively clear, he decided on one thing for the next day. Not a long list. Just one non-negotiable task. And when the time came, he asked no further questions. The decision had already been made. This is a critical point. Discipline is not located in the moment you act. It is located in the moment you decide in advance, in a more stable mental state. When you do this enough times, action becomes a consequence, not a battle. Step 2. Design minimal action. The second step is designing minimal action. The brain fears things that are vague and heavy. If you tell yourself that today you must perform well, do a lot, be serious, the brain will resist immediately. But if you tell yourself that today you only need to begin, resistance drops significantly. Minimal action is an action so small that you do not need to convince yourself. Not training for an hour, but putting on shoes. Not writing an entire article, but opening the document. Not changing your life, but sitting in the right place. Many people underestimate this step because it feels too simple. But that simplicity is exactly what bypasses the mind's defense system. And once you begin, momentum often takes care of the rest. Step 3. Build a consistent inner voice. The third step is building a consistent inner voice. Not a voice that pressures, but a voice that is clear. This voice does not insult. It also does not comfort. It simply repeats the decision that was already made. There is a sentence that many disciplined people use, even if they never say it out loud. This is what I do. No additional reason needed, no explanation required. When you repeat this voice enough times, your mind learns something new, that there is no need to argue anymore. And when argument disappears, discipline becomes much lighter. Step 4. Accept controlled imperfection. The fourth step is accepting controlled imperfection. You will have days when you fall out of rhythm, days when you do less than planned, days when you lose focus, days when you miss something. If every time this happens you label yourself a failure, you will quit quickly. But if you see it as part of the process, you will return faster. Sustainable discipline is not discipline that never breaks. It is discipline that knows how to recover. There is a very short but very true story. A man once said that his secret was not never skipping training. It was never skipping training 2 days in a row. One missed day is life. 2 consecutive days become a direction, and he did not allow that direction to form. When you build this structure in your mind, you will notice something very different. Discipline no longer requires much energy. It does not need constant motivation. It only needs you to protect a few very small, very clear principles. In the next and final part, I will help you connect discipline to personal identity, not as something you try to do, but as the person you are becoming. And when discipline is tied to identity, you no longer need to ask how to maintain it. There is a very important moment in the discipline journey that few people notice. It is the moment when you stop asking yourself what you should do and start asking who you are. When discipline is only a tool, you will use it when you need it, then drop it when you are tired. But when discipline becomes part of your identity, you no longer need motivation to maintain it. You are simply living in alignment with the person you believe yourself to be. Many people try to build discipline through pressure. Pressure from goals, pressure from comparison, pressure from fear of being left behind. Those things can push you forward quickly in the short term, but they cannot keep you there. Because identity cannot be sustained by tension. Identity is built through evidence, through small actions, repeated, unseen. Every time you do what you decided to do, even if it is very small, you are casting another vote for the person you are becoming. I am someone who keeps my word. I am someone who returns. I am someone who does not negotiate with ease. There was a man named Andrew who once said that he only truly changed when he stopped trying to become a disciplined person and started living as a disciplined person. It sounds similar, but the difference is fundamental. One side is effort, the other is identity. When you identify yourself as someone who keeps promises to yourself, many decisions become simpler. You no longer ask whether you should do something. You ask whether this aligns with who you are. And if it does not, the answer is already clear. Discipline begins in the mind, but it does not end there. It spreads into how you organize your days, how you set boundaries, how you say no to things that pull you off your axis, not because you are cold, but because you respect your life enough to protect it. One very important thing to remember: discipline does not take away your freedom. It gives you freedom in a slower, more sustainable way. Freedom from being dragged around by emotion, from being controlled by circumstances, from being sabotaged by the easiest version of yourself. You do not need to become a new person tomorrow. You only need to become a more consistent version of yourself today. And that consistency does not come from grand determination. It comes from small decisions that are protected in your mind before the world has a chance to interfere. If there is one single thing to carry with you from everything you have just heard, it is this: discipline is not a war with yourself. It is an agreement you make with yourself. While you are clear-headed, while you can still see what you truly want to build. And every time you keep that agreement, you reinforce a very strong identity. An identity that does not need to strain but is very hard to break.